so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Bill Sopchak, and here at the Sopchak Natural Health and Wellness Center, we believe that there are three main things that cause you stress, which are physical, chemical, emotional, and we could add fourth one being electromagnetic. But three main ones. And Betty is certified in emotion code and is almost finished with her body code certification.
Yes.
And it's an amazing way to learn or to remove trapped emotions.
Yes.
Trapped emotions, we always we say that they're issues in the tissues or energy in motion. And trapped emotions can sabotage you from being healthy, from losing weight, from getting rid of a pain that you've had for a long time, because it's that one last part that you just can't get rid of. So Betty works here. She also does work at Branches of Wellness. She does stuff with
Reiki Master. I'm a reflexology practitioner. I use tuning forks. I do the emotion code. It's all good stuff.
So Betty's going to give you a little rundown on how the emotion code works, and she'll do a couple demonstrations, and then we can go home and go from there. But it's something that's amazing, and take over, Betty.
Yeah, thanks, Doc. Yeah, so trapped emotions, they can happen, and I have a little cheat sheet over here, because I'll forget something for sure. So, just a little thing. So our body generates an emotional vibration. When we have an emotion, we're happy, we're sad, we're angry, and we can all feel those things because we know what all that feels like. So sometimes if there's a traumatic injury or a physical emotional shock, those things that just take your breath away, those are the pieces that can cause a trapped emotion. So the emotion happens, we have the emotion, it goes, we carry on. But then there's that piece, the last piece is called processing. And when that piece is interrupted, that's when these trapped emotions can come into the body. And we don't want that to happen. I had a lady who had a car accident probably 15 years ago. Always had low back pain. And she said, it was just, she went to the doctor, she went chiropractic, it just wouldn't go away. We had an emotion code, and she came in for anxiety, actually, but we just listed that as one of the things, that she had that car accident and her low back pain. At the end of it, during the middle part, I'll say, I always have somebody stand up, walk around, let everything start to process. And she's standing there, she goes like this. My back feels better. So we got a piece of that emotional shock from that car accident to exit the body by releasing the trapped emotions. And the trapped emotions that are released, so the emotions are essentially a vibration. So we have a list of emotions here. And the emotions are, we've put words to things. So if we can think of them more as a vibration rather than, we'll say, bitterness, guilt, resentment. There's some words that people are like, well, I never feel that way. But it's not necessarily that emotion. It's just the vibration that got stuck in the body. So in each time, we'll just say, let's pick an emotion. Let's say helplessness. There's times in our life where, whether we were teeny tiny, we're 5 years old, 10 years old, that's about when things start to get trapped in the body. So if we have this helplessness come in, and say it happens at 10 years old, where, we're just sitting in that fearful spot of not knowing what to do, nobody's around to help me, that piece will get stuck in the body, and then, we'll go to 40. So that piece of helplessness just keeps repeating itself and layering and layering and layering on top of itself till in your adult, that is, it's kind of like where your personality is, where this, I just feel so helpless all the time. So it's a little sad, but it's true. So, we'll use, I don't know. Some people get angry. That's their first line of defense. My daughter's like that. But don't tell her. She gets angry really quick. Well, we've had a life. We've had a lot of death in the family. She was bullied in high school, bullied through college. So yeah, that'll make you a little angry. But what happens as those things just keep layering up, and I say it's kind of like a layer cake, they just keep layering, pretty soon you got a trigger finger and you're going to get mad really quick. So that's just another example of, when they can get trapped, those knee-jerk reactions, and maybe sometimes, I know myself, I'll just use myself, sorry about that, as an example. I used to just have a knee-jerk reaction about everything. Everybody was out to get me. Everybody was gonna do something to me, so I was always on guard. Going through this process, I've been able to release, you should see my books at home. I have these spiral-bound notebooks that I do all my emotion release in. Yeah, you could write a book with them. But there's a lot of grief, a lot of despair, a lot of helplessness, hopelessness. And with being able to release those things, my life has just gotten, I've always tried to be a happy person, but it's kind of like the clown where, we put a happy face on, but inside we're just not doing so well. But with going through the emotion code myself, I had somebody in the UK did it for me. And it's been wonderful. It's been a great experience. And we started doing it, we all have lives, right? But my son passed away in 2012. He had a heart attack. It was a fatal heart attack. He had a heart murmur. And he went running. He went from a seated position to running. And it was just enough to push too much blood through his heart. And that was it. Well, I was a mess. I was a mess before that, but I was a real mess. And I just didn't know what to do. But along with that traumatic event happening, I started to develop all of these aches and pains. I go to the doctor. Well, it sounds like rheumatoid arthritis. It sounds like fibromyalgia. It was always, it sounds like. And I was like, well, that's not really helping me. They give me medicine because I was desperate. Medicine never helped me. So I was about 3 years after his death, I started to develop these head movements. And it wasn't like straight on. It was more like this. And I would have to, because there was something that was just pulling my head. And I would have to sit, take a breath, and it was like just pulling against a pulley that didn't want to move. And then I would be able to bring my head back to center. But that's just what it kept doing. I got a hold of I got a guy in the UK. He has, there's a term for it. Doctors call it cervical dystonia. So he says, what happened that caused this? And I was like, what do you mean, what happened that caused it? He says, well, something caused it. Did something major happen? And I said, well, yeah. He said, that's emotional stress overload. That's the word that he uses. And I was like, emotions do this kind of stuff? And he's like, yeah. So I worked with him. I worked with Lindsay when Lindsay was here doing NET work. Doc was there goes the tongue, instrumental in getting me there, because I'd lay on the table and say, it's my whole body. And he'd say, Betty, go see Lindsay. And one day I said, all right, I'll go see her. What the heck? Trapped emotions, who knew, right? So that's why I started doing this. I started getting better, and I was getting better. I watched, a little seminar on it, on like the Shift Network. And I thought, holy smokes, there's something to this stuff. So that's what brought me here to begin doing the body code. And I've been in search of, ever since I retired about 6 years ago, just finding other things to do. And I swore, I said, no more certifications. I'm done, not doing any more. Well, then what happened? And then the body code happened. Oh gosh, so the body code, I'm doing that certification right now. It gets into misalignments in the bone, in the tissues, in the fascia, within an organ. It's fascinating. And it also gets into these negative beliefs that we have about ourselves. And these were the ones that they just floored me. So they talk about, and I'm going to talk about the body code right now. So they'll talk about an allergy or intolerance. So when we tell ourselves, oh, this is just the way it's going to be. Oh, you're just going to be blah, blah, blah for the rest of your life. You're blah, blah, fill in the blanks. Maybe a teacher said something to you that just stuck in your head. And so we can have an allergy to an idea about ourselves. And I'll just go into this real quick. So, little explanation. Idea allergies generally created when the subconscious, that's who's doing all the work, subconscious mind makes a faulty or negative connection with a particular idea, thought, emotion, concept. So some of these, we'll just say, have an allergy to receiving love. And when that happens, we put up this invisible, it's invisible, but people can feel it, they can sense it. So I have this allergy to giving love, so I'm not really able to do that. And with the body code, we can go in and figure out, is there a trapped emotion causing this to happen? Oh, by golly, I bet there is, because, that's what it's all about, right? So if we go in, we have it's called an associating balance. So we have this allergy to giving love, and then we come in and maybe we have a trapped emotion of guilt where something happened that sparked that little thought that this just isn't for me. And we can release those things too, and nothing's instant, If we've been around for 50, 60 years, we might be peeling some layers off, but that's just the way that it is, It's, I like to say, these trapped emotions, they're like a layer cake. But what we're doing, instead of cutting slices, we're skimming off about 1 millimeter at a time, releasing those trapped emotions. And it's really a beautiful thing.
Do you want to just touch on emotions that are absorbed, like, for example, in the womb?
Sure. We can do that.
Only because
I have an app for that.
Some people don't realize that you can have issues before you're even born.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what Doc is talking about.
I had a patient that
Go ahead. Thank you.
Emotion code on, and it was in the third trimester is where it came to, and it came to abandonment. And I'm like, do you have any idea what that means? And she said, yeah, they were going to give me up for adoption, and then they didn't. So it was like, wow. And she was having pain in her shoulders and everything like that. After I got done, it was totally gone.
Yeah.
So does everybody take a different amount of time? Like, I guess the more layers you have, the longer it takes to get through it all.
Yes, but you notice, most people, I'll say, notice something after that first session. And generally they report they feel lighter without even knowing that they felt heavy, or maybe, you're feeling like there's a little blood going to your hand again, that maybe it was just hanging around and not getting anything. So what Doc's talking about, these prenatal trapped emotions, they will happen when the mom has something happen. It can be something traumatic. I mean, we're pregnant. Every day is a new thing when you're pregnant. I mean, the hormones, for me, everything made me a little angry. I was not okay when I was pregnant. So when things happen, when we're, carrying the baby, if we have some big emotional things that happen, the baby can absorb it. And it's not to make anything scary, but if you think about, I don't know, I know one of my daughters, I had found something, some prenatal with, it was probably anger. I'll just say anger, because my son was driving me crazy. He was 13 and always in trouble. And I was pregnant. It just wasn't a good combination. So I probably got really mad that day, and who knows what happened. And so when I was helping her, releasing some things, sure enough, here's this prenatal trapped emotion of anger. No wonder she's got little anger things, right? That's the one that I was talking about. So, these things can happen, and then, we'll talk inherited. We can inherit a trapped emotion just as we can inherit our eye color, our hair color. Those events can go back, I don't know, what did you find, 122 years?
35 on my son one time.
Yeah, 30, that's, generations are about 27 years. That's what Google has come up with. So you figure that's a long time ago, and somebody had a really bad day, and it stayed. It gets down into the core of yourself, and then you can pass it along. Where I've had things that I've inherited, not all my children get it. Maybe one gets it, maybe that one. My youngest, poor thing, she seems to have inherited everything. Poor kid. But then my other two children, they miss things. Sometimes it's all three of them. But when we release those things from them, these trapped emotions release from all those that came before us and our children. And if our sisters, brothers, they may have inherited, it clears from them also. So it's really interesting how these trapped emotions can continue on. It's funny, it just made me think about something. My grandpa, he was a wallpaper hanger. He was funny.
Wow.
No, stop. No, but he would always, he was one that was always doing this, and he'd say my bursitis is acting up. This just dawned on me. So who has chronic bursitis? Maybe it's here, but it's that shoulder. But if we think about this shoulder, this is my theory. So the left side is our heart side. So our heart hurts. So things with the left shoulder, the left hip, the left knee, the ankle. from what I've seen, things gravitate, all those heart hurts are kind of like on that left side. Not always, this is kind of way I found them. Yeah, so it's interesting.
How do you know when you're identifying, like if someone doesn't know they have this trapped emotion, how do you know like if that is a prenatal one or it's a, like how do you identify what you're releasing?
Well, here's the fun part. So with the body code, I mean, everything that's in the app is in this book, but it's a lot easier in the app. So what it does, and this is body code stuff, with the emotion code, let me just back up a minute. The emotion code, we will find, it's like I'll be, demonstrating a little bit later. We'll come across something, we'll just say anxiety. Is it anxiety? This is a yes, this is a ring and ring. Doc does muscle testing, this is the way that I do it. Do we need to know anything else? This is, I'm connected with you. And it'll say yes. And then I'll say, do we need to know an age? I'll say no. So my next question is it absorbed? Yes. Sometimes your unconscious is like, that's good enough for me.
So the muscle testing is all coming from your subconscious.
Yes. So we're connected. That's what I'm talking to, is your subconscious being connected to you. And that's, and sometimes it'll say after, I need an age. I'll split your age in half. We'll just say that it happened before 30, before 20, before 10, and then I'll just start 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, just start going down the line. Do we need to know anything else before we release this? Yes. Okay. Was it absorbed? No. Is it inherited? Yes. Okay, so then we start to identify further. And that's how the emotion code works.
Does the body code supersede the emotion code? Do you still do emotion code? Or is it mostly body code now?
No, it will release trapped emotions. It'll find trapped emotions and have you release them also. But these absorbed, the way that they come about is somebody that we are with in close proximity is having a big emotion. And sometimes us trying to be a helpful friend, or we're just that kind of person that we want to help so much that we'll take in some of that. And it's not yours, but by golly, it's there. Now it's set up shop. It's like when you're in those spaces of big emotions with people that you love. I'm just going to go into like a little shield thing. That's what we need to do, is just a bubble. Put a little bubble around us, and we don't want to take on any of theirs. That's not ours. That's theirs. And what we can give them, is a prayer, or just sending them some love energetically, because it all works. But yeah, those trapped emotions, they can be just as big as the ones that, you've gotten yourself. One more thing, this is body code. So with the emotion code, we're identifying single emotions, asking the questions, we're clearing them, and they're gone. So now we start getting into these, it's called a compound. It's an emotional compound where we'll just say there was an event and everything was happening at once. There was anxiety, there was fear, there was terror, and all those things just balled up together. And those can sit in us, making their own little thing. It's not exactly anxiety, terror, fear, but it is those things. It's like mixing different paints to get a color. So it's like it's its own little vibration. We can get those things too, inherited, prenatal, blah, 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 absorbed. It's really, I've unearthed a lot of those with my own children. And it's just fascinating where they have been, because I know their timeline. I know their timeline, so I know about when everything happened. Not that I'm snooping, but ages pop up. So I kind of know what's happening, and I can see that event was happening. And I was like, son of a gun. Yeah, so those are big. Those just take on their own little energy.
So you said if someone has an emotion, and you're the sort of person that is overly empathetic, you're taking on that emotion. I've always thought of emotions as something that is an internal reaction that you're having.
I gotcha.
So you need to be seeing and interpreting like what you think this person is feeling.
Sure.
And then you have a reaction. But you're saying that the actual vibration that they're putting off, you're taking in.
Because you brought up empath, because little empaths, we just want to fix everything. We want to make everything better. And when people are suffering, our vibrations are matching, and that's when those things can happen. Yeah. Did I answer the question for you? Anything else?
You're saying there's something objective happening, not just interpretive on my part.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the energy. And yeah.
Have you ever been in a room where somebody who's just not a nice person walks in and you can just feel them just suck the energy right out of you? I'm serious.
No, yes.
That if you don't protect yourself, they drain you. And so, I have to do the same thing, because sometimes I get people who are like that, and they can just really suck the life right out of you.
I had this was a long time ago, but to go back to the boundary thing, I know we're a little off topic, but when you get accustomed to putting that bubble around you or whatever you put on you, all of a sudden, one day somebody's going to walk in and you're going to feel it. Well, the Jetsons are a little old, but it's like the Jetsons, they boop, and that whole thing would come down and they'd beam off somewhere. It's just like that. But you stand there and all of a sudden it was so funny. I wasn't using Iron Man, but it was like Iron Man. I was like, oh, this is interesting. That wasn't my first thing. I'm more of a bubble person, but hey, Iron Man worked that day. So yeah, always, those protecting and the boundaries and saying, you know what, I need to not be here right now, and scooch away from somebody. Yeah. These aches and pains that come out of nowhere. Like, you're fine one day, next day you got something going on. I tap dance. I love to tap dance. My gosh, I should be really good at it, but here we are. But I hurt myself really bad back in my 40s. Hurt my back doing. It was a pick. Hurt my lower back, but it was probably ready to go, and I couldn't tap dance anymore. I had to go through all the chain of events with that. And then all of a sudden, in my 50s, it was about after my son passed, because I was told, do something that you love. And I love to tap dance, so I got back tap dancing. Well, don't you know, my knee starts hurting. This one, it's replaced. It shouldn't hurt. I mean, by everything, maybe the muscles, but it was like deep down, it was hurting. And I'm like, what is going on with this? And then I thought one day, and I was just starting to get into this, and I said, you know what? I wonder if it's my subconscious trying to keep me safe. Because last time I danced, I got hurt really bad. So it was throwing off a little warning of, this hurt you last time, remember that? So I had to have a long talk with myself before I went into tap the next day. And I kind of brushed at it. And I said, you know what, we're okay. We're safe. Nothing's going to happen. Let's go in, let's tap. And it worked. But if I start talking poorly to myself during tap dance, because there may be some part of me that says, oh yeah, big dummy, why can't you get this step? But I shouldn't say those things, because then my subconscious hears me and says, oh, you need to stop doing this. So then it was an ankle. Like, all right, stop. So now I say, can I see that again, please? Instead of internalizing it. So the subconscious, its job is to keep us safe from events, maybe people, just all those good things. You know, we always, if we got too close to the edge on a cliff, you know, what happens? We have that automatic thing in us that says, back it up, back it up. So yeah. It's pretty interesting. Demo time, sure. Anybody want to volunteer? So do you have, what would you like to release or work on? Any pain or just emotional stuff?
I've had a pain in my back for over a year.
Where is it?
It is low back on the right side.
Low right side. Can you put your hand on it?
Right there.
Okay, very good. All right, so low back, right side. Anything else? I'm taking your order. Do you want cheese with that?
It hurts on the left too sometimes,
Okay.
but not as much. It's always constant on the right. So yeah, left low back and my right shoulder.
Right shoulder. All right. That's some good stuff to get rolling with. All right. So what we're going to do, like I said, I've got my handy dandy little pad here. This has all the emotions. And this is where the training, because, you know, we want to know hows and whys. And Dr. Bradley Nelson is one that came up with this. And he said, before he gets going, he says, don't question it. Your subconscious mind knows everything that's going to be happening here. And it's like, we need to, no, just don't overthink it. So that's the biggest thing, is not, for me, not to overthink it. So we have Therese, low back, right side, right shoulder. So what I like to do before we get together, I like to say a little prayer just to get us connected. So can we take 3 nice deep breaths together? In through the nose, out through the mouth. Ooh, I felt good. Let your shoulders drop. Again, in through the nose. Nice and deep, out through the mouth. Those nice deep yogi breaths all the way into the belly. And release. Nice. Dear Heavenly Father, I ask that you be with Therese and I as we do an emotion code. And Therese, to release the pain in the right shoulder, the pain in the lower back, right side, sometimes the left side. I ask for your guidance. I ask for you to guide my head, my hands, and my heart to release these things that are causing pain. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Alrighty. Aren't Therese and I connected? And we are connected, so that's my little connector. We're looking for the pain in the low right back, sometimes the left side, and the right shoulder. So what are the trapped emotions that we can release today to help her release this pain? Is it in column A? Is it odd, even? Is it in row 2, 4? Anger, bitterness, landed on guilt. So can Do we need to know anything else about this guilt? And this is a no, so we can go ahead. So can we release this guilt? Yes. Beautiful. So this is how we do it. We swipe. Beautiful. Ah, Therese released that guilt. Yes, she did. Beautiful. And as we get going, you may feel some tingling. You may feel, if you start feeling lightheaded, please let me know and we'll just take a little break, okay? All right. Next trapped emotion causing pain in that right shoulder, right lower back. Column A, odd, even, 2. It's anxiety. Do we need to know anything more about this anxiety? Yes, we do. Okay. So, round about your age?
53.
Okay, thank you. So did this happen before 30? Yeah. Did it happen before 20? Did it happen between 20 and 25? 25, 26, 27, 28. It happened at 30. That something came in and created some anxiety, and it's just been kind of like building up. Do we need to know anything else about this anxiety at 30? No. Can we release it? Yes. Let's release this anxiety. Oh, it's going to be a big one. Oof, very good.
And just so you know, she's running her hand along the bladder meridian, which
Governing.
attaches to, well, governing vessel up top and bladder at the back.
Okay, yes.
Which attaches to all of the
Yes. Thank you, Doc.
meridians.
Yes.
I just thought I'd give them a little.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And Therese released that anxiety. Yes. Next thing for her to release the pain in the right shoulder and the right low back. Column A, odd, even, 2. Anxiety. Do we need to know anything more about this anxiety? No. Can she release this? Yep. Let's release this anxiety. Are you guys feeling anything just yet? I'm getting buzzy. That's why I'm asking. Whew. Yeah. That's something that people report, feeling warm or feeling cold. Did you release that anxiety? Yes. Other trapped emotions. Column A, odd, even, 2. Anxiety. Can Therese release this layer of anxiety? Do we need to know anything more about it? No. Can she release it? Yes. Releasing, clearing this anxiety. And your job is to just hold the intention to clear it out, release it. Doesn't need to be there anymore. Therese released that anxiety. Yes. Next trapped emotion, creating that we can release, to release the pain in that right shoulder, right low back, column A, odd, even, 2. Dear, anxiety. You poor little thing. So can Therese release this layer? Do we need to know anything more about this anxiety to release it? No. Can she release it? Yes. Releasing this layer of anxiety. And we're peeling all these layers off. Beautiful. Therese released that layer of anxiety. Yes. Next trapped emotion, column A, odd, 1, 3. This is crying. Do we need to know anything else about this crying? Nope. Can she release it? Yep. Releasing the crying. Releasing that trapped emotion. Oof. Can you bring your arms just up through center, up over your head? Wiggle your fingers. Stretch. There you go. And you just let them float down through center. Beautiful. And Therese, release that crying. Can you stand up and just move around for me a little bit? We're about halfway done with this. There you go. How's things feeling?
Looser, actually.
What's that?
Looser
Oh,
than
good.
they were.
Good. That's awesome. That's what we like to hear. So how many other trapped emotions can Therese release today safely for our greatest and highest? One. It's allowing 2 more. So this last one, or this next to last, column A, odd. Column A, odd. 1, 3. This is crying. Okay. Do we need to know anything more about this crying? Yes. Do we need to know an age? Nope. Is it absorbed? Nope. Is it inherited? Nope. Is it a heart wall? See, we didn't talk about that. So we had a heart wall. And a heart wall is just kind of like what it sounds like. When we get hurt, those trapped emotions will build up around the heart. So that's what we have just found is a heart wall of crying. So can Therese release this heart wall of crying? Yes, she can. Beautiful. Let's release that heart wall of crying. Oof. I felt that one. Beautiful. Can you take your arms out, kind of open up your chest? Let your heart say, whoo, got rid of that. There you go, good girl. Beautiful. And Therese released that heart wall of crying. Yes, she did. We have one more for her greatest and highest good to release pain in that right shoulder, the right low back. Column A, odd. 1, 3, 5. Blaming, dread. This is fear. So do we need to know anything more about this fear? Nope. Can Therese release this? Yes. So let's release this fear. Releasing, clearing, allowing it to melt away. Let Therese release that fear. So I'm going to close. Dear Heavenly Father, it's with so much love and gratitude that I thank you for bringing Therese to release these trapped emotions. And Lord, I ask that her body processes all these emotions that we've released, and she releases them totally and completely, just like how it's supposed to happen. It's with so much love and gratitude that I thank you for sharing time with me. Amen. You're disconnected. Alrighty.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you stand up and stretch and how you feeling and all that good stuff?
I feel looser than I was, and I don't feel hot anymore.
That's good.
I do have a question.
Sure.
So, I've done EMDR in the past. So, like 3 days later, I'll have a huge, weird, catastrophic release.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the same kind of thing?
I haven't felt it that way. I've also done EMDR, and I know what those bobbles feel like. They're pretty intense. This is gentle to where you may get, I don't know, you may get a little glimmer of what happened. Like you go, holy crap, that's when that happened.
Right, I'm totally like, what? The whole time I'm like, what happened when I was 30? I don't remember anything.
Right, so as the day goes on, a couple of days, 3-4 days, your subconscious will, start spinning, they're getting rid of things, and then all of a sudden you go, holy smokes, I remember when that happened. And sometimes, like you said, you don't remember anxiety, but sometimes we're in those spaces that we're so filled up with it that we don't even recognize that we are anxious. So, it can be just anything like that. It doesn't have to be huge. Just an anxious moment came in.
You may also find that it's a plus or minus 1 or 2 on the.
Oh yes,
on the
thank you.
The years, sometimes it's like not necessarily 30, but it happened at 28.
Right.
32.
Yes.
It's within usually 1 or 2.
Yes, thank you, Doc. Yeah, because subconscious doesn't keep tabs on our birthdays, just events, how we're progressing. Yeah, so are there any questions? Yes?
So, I would assume that Trace would come back and you would go over those same spots? Or like, she's done with that?
Well, it depends. Her subconscious may go, we got a bunch of the same things to go through, but what we're doing, like I said, with that layer cake, we're just skimming them off one at a time, clearing them, deleting them. I will say sometimes, like, we'll just say, you get done, you feel great, like, whew, I'm fixed. Well, you go about a month, and then all of a sudden, bam, here it comes again. That's because that energy that just happened resonates with what's left in there. So that's just how these things happen.
Do the biggest ones come out first as you're peeling the layers, or does it actually go by like years of when it started at 30, like it's just going to be younger than that, or is it going all over the board?
Here's what I found, and Doc, you may have some other things. It picked age 30, so we're going plus or minus a couple years. That could have been an original event that created maybe the shoulder, maybe the back. And so your subconscious, I had asked for your highest and best. So whatever your subconscious says, this is what I want her to release today. So that's what comes out. Yeah.
You also asked her, or you were focused on your back and your shoulder. Mm-hmm. That's not saying that there wasn't other emotions that could be causing other things going on that could be a bigger problem. It's just that right now, today, your focus was your back. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it could be next time you're like, I'd really like to work with, my anxiety or my sleep or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is an emotion code session in a nutshell. Yeah, and I have had people report, sometimes I get the giggles. I don't know. I help people process. I'll just start laughing. It just happens. Well, we'll start laughing. They'll start laughing. They'll go, my gosh, I know exactly what happened. And they'll start laughing. And that's a beautiful process to release in itself. Sometimes you start crying. Sometimes you just start yawning. Like Doc, boy, he yawned. He's like, I can't stop yawning. I'm like, that's part of the process too. Drinking water for the rest of today, tomorrow. A little extra to help everything flush out and move along its way. Yeah.
I appreciate your coming today.
Yes, absolutely.
Just so you know, the last time she did this here, there was a girl who had a bunch of pain. She has it in her neck or back, and she was good for about a week. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I saw her in here the week later, or 2 weeks later, and she said, yeah, it was pretty good for about a week, and then, but she never came back to do anything else yet. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, so that's when we start, it can literally be anything. It could be, I don't know, could be your gallbladder. It could be any number of things that everything's connected. It could be your big toes out of alignment,
You also have to realize that your organ systems have specific emotions attached to them. Like your lungs are grief, kidneys are fear, resentment would be your gallbladder, anger is liver. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they all have different types of emotions that are attached to them. Mm-hmm. And we bury them in different places.
Yes, we do. And you know, you may have found people that had to have gallbladder surgery and they had the gallbladder removed, everything's supposed to be good, but they still have symptoms because the energy of it is still there and you haven't cleared all that stuff out of there.
So Betty is here on Friday mornings between, like, what is it, 8:30 and 12:45?
Something like that, yeah.
So, I mean, if anybody's ever interested.
Yeah, and I have some business cards up here. Any other day of the week or weekends, I work out of Branches of Wellness in Painesville. My cell phone is on the card, so you just call me directly. Yeah, and like Doc said, I'm here on Fridays.
Thank you again, Betty.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Thank you,
amazing.
Doc. Thank you all for coming, taking a little break out of your evening. I really appreciate it. It gives me a chance to get the heebie-jeebies out of me talking in front of people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're
Very informative.
very welcome. Oh, thank you so much. That was very nice of you.